Hello and welcome to episode number 295 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be SmackDown for week 1 of October 2022, and it marks 1 year of the Tribal Chief as WWE Champion, and tonight we're going to close the show with that celebration. 1 year of the Tribal Chief. Also on tonight's show, we've got a number one contenders match for 2 championship matches for Clash of the Castle. We've got Alba Fyre against Candice LeRae, with the winner facing Shotzi for the Liberty title at Clash of the Castle. And we have Hit Row versus the grizzled young veterans to see who will face DIY for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. We have another match, which I cannot remember off the top of my head. Oh, of course it's Trick Williams in action. How could I forget that? The most important match of them all. Without any further ado. Oh, and Ezekiel versus Mark Andrews. So now, actually, without any further ado, let's jump straight into the show. Show kicks off with Shotzi, of all people. We're going to kick off with the Liberty title number one contenders match because, you know, Roman's main eventing, and I don't feel like any of the other segments I have on the show would justify opening the show. So we'll just bring Shotzi out with the belt and the tank. Hype opening, and she's like, "Welcome to SmackDown. Now I'm out here to sit at ringside, you know, and watch this opening contest. 2 of my top challengers to see who's going to face me in Cardiff in 8 days' time. Will it be Alba Fyre of the Regal Coalition? Boo. Or will it be Candice LeRae? I'll tell you what, they're both hell of a competitors, pair of great athletes. I'll take on either of them. It's going to be a great match, and I'm happy to be here front row for it." Then Shotzi takes a seat, she grabs a steel chair, sits at ringside. She's not at commentary, she just sat there like with the belt on her shoulder, just watching, you know, doing Shotzi things. And we get Alba Fyre and Candice LeRae opening up the show to a 75. I'm assuming mainly because of the finish. Yeah. It goes for 14 minutes and 58 seconds. And Candice LeRae has it. She's got Alba up on the top rope for the top rope neckbreaker thing, when both women are shoved off by Toni Storm. And the match has no finish because Toni Storm comes out and she lays both women laying. And Shotzi's at ringside like, "What the fuck, bruh? Like, this was a banger match. Why are you doing this?" And Shotzi's like, or Tony's like, "Well, you know why, bitch." And we then come back from the ads, and Tony's backstage, and Kayla's like, "Tony, what was that?" You know, and Tony's like, "I don't want that to be construed as disrespect. You know, I have great respect for Alba and especially Candice, you know, and Shotzi. Hell, Shotzi gave me the first shot at the Liberty title, but I want to be involved, you know. Alba Fyre sort of just decided that she deserved the title opportunity, I guess, by attacking the champion when she first came over to SmackDown. Candice, I guess, got the opportunity by picking up wins on Heat, which is fair enough. But where's my shot, you know? I want another shot. And Shotzi walks up to Tony backstage in the interview. She's like, "If you want a shot, Tony, you just had to ask. You know, I'll take it all on because I've got more balls than you." She points at Tony. "I've got more balls than you." Points at Kayla. And then she goes, "I got more balls than you." And Alba Fyre suddenly walked into frame. She's like, "Listen, Shotzi, you sent Toni Storm in there to break that up because you were scared of me winning and you're scared of facing me. Admit it." And Shotzi goes, "I'm not scared of anything, you know. I love horror, you know. Nothing scares me." And Tony's like, "Whoa, scared of you? Nobody sent me. I got sent by myself." And then Candice is like, "Whoa, girls. Hostile environment, but I can understand why, you know. This is some bull crap here. Who's going to be the number one contender now?" And Adam Pearce goes, "Well, I thought you'd never ask, Candice. Wow, you women have all got a lot of frustrations with each other suddenly, haven't you? You know what I see here? I see money. I see Clash at the Castle. I see Shotzi Blackheart, and she will defend her title against..." He looks at Candice, he looks at Alba, he looks at Tony. He's like, eeny, meeny, miny, all of you in a fatal 4-way. And he walks off, and everyone's like, okay, I'm content with that. And Shotzi's like, well, I mean, backs against the wall, that's when I do my best work. You know, bring it on. So, fatal 4-way match announced. Candice, Alba, Tony, and Shotzi for the Liberty title. These two I wanted to make sure were on the card because, you know, UK, and these are two former NXT UK Women's Champions. And Candice, I thought, just would hold the match together because she's great. So, yeah, fatal 4-way for the Liberty title. Shotzi, Tony, Alba, and Candice. Should be fun. A nice little match for the show. Speaking of women's titles, Kyrie is in her locker room, you know. I guess she's just entering and stuff, emptying out her suitcase or whatever, when there's a knock on the door and Anne-Marie Porter and Kelsey Cook come in. And she's like, I know you and Utami are sort of like teaming up against Bayley and Dakota at Clash at the Castle, and that's all great. I hope you kick their ass, but, you know, we have issues with those two as well. So, if you ever need any help, if they ever decide to, you know, cheap shot you or whatever, you know where to find us. And Kyrie's like, I appreciate it. And I appreciate if you could do one more thing for us. And he's like, what is that? You go, you know, you hate Dakota and Bayley, I hate Dakota and Bayley, Utami hates Dakota and Bayley. What do you say to get us ready for Clash at the Castle? We have ourselves a tag team match later on tonight, you two against us two. Just, you know, to work on our tag team so we can be fully prepared for Bayley and Dakota at Clash at the Castle. And Anne-Marie and Kelsey are like, well, that's a big match for us. Sure, we'll take that. So tag team match set for later on. Kairi Sane and Utami Hayashishita against Double Trouble. Originally, it was going to have their warm-up match be against Toxic Attraction, but decided against doing Kairi and a Joshi partner against Toxic Attraction again, because that would just be tempting fate. So instead, I actually like this better, so it's fine, because I want to keep these two involved in the storyline for reasons that will become clear, like, in a month's time in-game. We then cut to the ring where Hit Row are in the middle of their rap, doing their thing. And then when they finish, the grizzled young veterans come out. And William Regal was on the stage, he goes, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to your next SmackDown Tag Team Champions. And out they come, and he's like, shut up, you American scumbags. I am Rip Fowler. This is Jagger Reed. We are grizzled young veterans, soon to be recognized as the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. So yeah, Jagger Reed and Rip Fowler against Hit Row. Winners move on to Cardiff to fight for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and it is a 68 rated match, which is better than I thought, because wait, who's recognizable here? I think it might be one of the grizzled young vets is recognizable, and that's what helped it. Yeah, 68 is actually pretty good here. But of course, it's the two Englishmen are going to the UK show to fight DIY for the SmackDown Tag titles. Rip pins a Shanky with a frog splash, apparently, or Shankly Gates, I guess, submission, or whatever their tag team finisher is these days as the Dyad. 52 for Top Dollar, 65 for Ashanti, 62 for Jagger, and a 64 for Rip. Yeah. Another title match set for Clash at the Castle for the Blue brand. Actually, no, it's the Liberty title, not the SmackDown Women's title. I was going to say, all of the SmackDown belts are being defended, but that's not actually true, because, you know, the Liberty belt isn't a SmackDown belt, it's just on a SmackDown person. But yeah, DIY will defend in Cardiff against the grizzled young veterans. Speaking of tag team titles, Braun Breaker and Keith Lee are backstage watching that. They haven't been on Raw, or they haven't been on SmackDown in the last few weeks, since the Fatal 4-Way with Ciampa. And they go, you know, Braun, this whole Limit Breakers team, you know, it's got a lot of potential in it, so we really need to start, you know, if this is gonna be a thing, you've got to start focusing on potentially becoming the tag team champions and working on our teamwork. And Braun goes, you know, Keith, I've still got my eye open on singles competition. So have you, you're a former World Heavyweight Champion, but it's nice to know in my back pocket, I got a big body here to rely on. And Timothy Thatcher walks in, just turns the telly off or whatever. And they're like, whoa, buddy, what's the matter with you? And he goes, this. You've got your eyes focused on being single stars, yet here you are, supposed to be the next top guys in WWE, and you're having these silly conversations. You need to be in that working out and practicing, not doing whatever it is you two do. And Keith Lee goes, I don't understand why what I get up to affects my ability inside the wrestling ring, Mr. Thatcher. And if you've got a problem with me and Braun here, your two boys you're training back there, why don't those two step into the ring with us next week and we'll see who the better men really are, Mr. Thatcher. And he's like, well, we'll see you there, Keith, We've got Velocity to deal with because, my guys actually win shit. And Oni's got a cruiserweight title match set up for next week. But me and Gulak, we'll teach you a lesson. So, yeah, big week for this group. Only won in the main event of Velocity. Last week he made Dominic submit, which we haven't announced yet. Will has entitled him to a title opportunity on next week's 205. Velocity even, not 205. I can't call that show by its actual name. I call it Heat about a million times now. I've just called it 205 Live. Okay, on Velocity, the day before Clash at the Castle, only Lorcan will wrestle Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title. But these two are free next week, so they're going to team up to take on the Limit Breakers in what should be a pretty damn heckin' good time, if I do say so myself. They then cut to Santos Escobar, and he's just doing his thing. When LA Knight was, he goes, Santos, let me talk to you. And he goes, what's up? And he goes, last week, you had no business in LA Knight's business, yet you came to my aid out there. What's the deal here? And he's like, well, LA, that wasn't me helping you. That was me seeing the Miz and Grayson Waller's bullshit and deciding to put a stop to it. Me and you, it's not like I've got a problem with you, but what I did was simply a favor. And I like, a favor? You did a favor to LA Knight, but who else? Yeah? And Santos goes, just an old friend. And then he walks off. And LA Knight goes, well, I'll be damned, dummy. But you saved my ass last week, so I'll remember that. Yeah. So, yeah, just a nice exchange between these two, because Santos came to his aid last week. But apparently he doesn't want to do it because he wants to be friends with LA Knight. He just did a good thing for somebody. And LA Knight's like, well, if you don't want to be friends, that's fine. I'm more of a singles guy myself, but cheers, boss. 79. A good match, actually. Mark Andrews got some 89, and Ezekiel got a 74. And apparently it suffered from a lack of psychology, despite them both being able to call in ring for 9 minutes. Ezekiel beats Andrews with the diving elbow drop. 89, like I said, for Mark Andrews, 74 for Ezekiel. And another victory for Ezekiel over a member of the House of Black. But it can't be celebrated for too long, because as soon as he picks up the win, he gets to his feet, has his arms raised, the lights go out, and when they come back on, he's dropped with a black mass. And then Alistair leans over him and he goes, so you've chosen the hard way. So be it. He drops the mic and just stands over Ezekiel. Toxic Attraction. They're in the Toxic Lounge, have been set up in the ring since, I guess, during the ads. And Mandy goes, ladies and gentlemen, the Toxic Lounge is back here on SmackDown. So, she's like, JC, give me the lay of the land here. She goes, well, you see, there are currently 4 women, fighting for the Liberty title opportunity. And Mandy goes, 4 women? Mandy Rose, she's got to be one of those women, right? And JC goes, no, there's actually, little Candice, You got Alba Fire, that weirdo. You got, obviously, Shotzi, the weirdo champion. And Toni Storm, I guess, has now decided that she can remember that she's on this brand. After we embarrassed her and her little dancing friends a couple of weeks ago. Mandy goes, well, 4 women's number 1 contenders for the Liberty title, and none of them are me? I mean, that kind of sounds like a joke to you girls, doesn't it? So what about it? What's the SmackDown Women's Champion up to? Kyrie, what's her story? And Jesse goes, well, little Kyrie's made little other friends angry. She's teaming up with Utami against Dakota Kai and Bayley at Clash at the Castle. She's not even defending her title, Mandy. She's that scared of you. Mandy goes, well, that does make sense, yes, but quite frankly, if I'm going to sit here, twiddling my thumbs waiting for something to do, I may as well just remind the world that this is the toxic era of SmackDown, and that, basically, you'll never look as good as we do. Simple as. Otis comes out. We've given him a couple of weeks off so we can grow his beard back. Because Otis, that's a single. He's going to be babyface Otis once again. And he comes out in front of Mandy. Like, as he comes out, he's got his vest on and that shit and his jeans. And Gigi and JC are sort of looking at him disgusted. Like, who the fuck is this fat slob? While Mandy is, of course, embarrassed because she knows why he's out here. And he goes, oh yeah! And then, obviously, it would have to be JC speaking because Mandy's still just, like, hiding her face. And she's like, excuse me, can we help you? What do you think you're doing on the Toxic Lounge, Fucking getting your dirty boots on this mat, Shoes off in the Toxic Lounge. And she goes, I just came to give flowers. She's like, flowers? I mean, we're flattered, but we don't want these flowers. Who are they for? And he goes, my peach! And then pointing at Mandy, and Gigi and JC sort of turn at her. Mandy goes, look, honey, this is a bit of a weird situation, you see. We haven't exactly been on the same show for 2 years, And, this whole long distance thing isn't for everybody, and people, they drift apart. It happens in life, Otis. It happens in life, and what I'm saying is that you're a fat, horrible, disgusting man, and, well, I'm me. And maybe 2 years ago I was vulnerable, I was weak, and at that point in my life I guess I was just desperate because somebody actually liked me. But now I'm living my best life, I've got my girls with me. I know I'm a gift. So I don't need you anymore. In fact, I don't want you anymore. If you've come back here to try and win me back, then just leave. And Otis, of course, just drops the flowers on the floor, looks all sad, and, quietly, sadly exits the ring and walks to the back. And Mandy goes, well, now that's out of the way, girls. We have some things to do. And they all go backstage. 81. I knew this would be good, but fuck me, that's really good. This is probably the best match that Julia, but that's what we call her here. We call her Kelsey. Kelsey and Anne-Marie have ever had. But Kyrie, of course, picks up the win, pins Kelsey with the insane elbow, because these are the two that are on the pay-per-view, and this is the champion, so natural result over these two youngsters. They don't really win much, but they look good doing it, because they have open matches and they last a while. 54 for Kelsey, 62 for Anne-Marie, 79 for Utami, and an 88 for Kyrie. Which I think is funny, is it says, in terms of ring work, Kyrie Sane was head and shoulders above everybody else. Yeah, she was only 9 points above Utami. But, actually, no, that's only 8 points, I was going to say, but that's about as far as Kelsey is off Anne-Marie, but it doesn't say that she was the weak link. But yeah, no, that does check out, actually. Anyway, after the match, Kyrie and Utami shake hands with Kelsey and Anne-Marie. They show respect to them. When Bayley's music hits and out come her and Dakota. She goes, look, Dakota, the losers are all friends with each other. And Dakota's like, that's so adorable, If we if we were to leave WWE tomorrow, at least we know one thing we did is we made this everlasting friendship between these 4 lovely ladies. And Bayley goes, well, but what I take from this is that we're so dominant as a duo, it takes 4 of them to try and combat us, you know? That's how much damage we've caused around here. And Anne-Marie takes the mic, and she's like, well, why don't you two get your ass in here, and then we'll show you a 4-on-2 can do. And Bayley goes, do I look stupid? I'm not going to get in there. We're at a disadvantage. I just came out here to let Kyrie and Utami know that beating, you know, Anne-Marie Porter and Kelsey Cook, that's one thing. But beating Mike Bayley and Dakota Kai at Clash at the Castle, that's a completely whole different ball game. Okay? This isn't a worthy warm-up bout for that match. And then Kelsey takes the mic and she just goes, you know, yeah, I guess beating us isn't for everyone, hey. And Bayley's like, I'm going to pretend you didn't have the nerve to say that because, quite frankly, you're not worth any more of our time. We just want to come out here and let you know that we're coming for you two at Clash of the Castle. And if you two want to keep trying to get involved in our shit, we'll prove to you why last time was a fluke. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mr. Money in the Bank Carmelo Hayes is not here tonight. He's taken a well-deserved week off because he's carrying this damn show on his back. He's the soon-to-be-crowned A-Champ, the future WWE Champion, and the best friend of Trick Williams. But now, of course, we couldn't leave you with a little bit, with nothing about it on this entire show, you know. And so Tricky Willie, the greatest of all time, stepping into this ring for a singles action. Anybody back there in that SmackDown roster who wants to come and catch the work of the greatest of all time, Trick Williams, the greatest ever, come and be bout it. After 6 months away with a quote-unquote injury, when in reality it was a punishment 6-month vacation of a star, AJ Styles is back. 6 months out, I guess in kayfabe it was an injury that he suffered against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. He can't get revenge on that because Kevin Owens is now fucked off. but he's here, and he's the opponent of Trick Williams. For the first time since WrestleMania, AJ Styles in the ring, gets a 70. He carries a green match at Trick Williams. Beats him with a Styles Clash in 5:58. Welcome back, the phenomenal AJ Styles. He gets an 81 and a 44 for Trick Williams. He is about it that life. But unfortunately, AJ comes out on top here tonight. Speaking of Bout It, next week's episode of SmackDown will be Bout It, you know? We have, after their bizarre altercation tonight, you've got, I guess, what we can call it, you know, fucking dysfunctional tag teams. Alba Fyre and Candice LeRae are gonna have to team up to take on Toni Storm and Shotzi Blackheart, you know, one day before their Fatal 4-Way Clash at the Castle. Also set for next week. Drew Gulak and Timothy Thatcher will team up to face Keith Lee and Braun Breaker, the Limit Breakers, in tag team action. And finally, ahead of their bout at Clash at the Castle, Seth freaking Rollins and the WWE Champion Roman Reigns will meet face to face in the ring. Adam Pearce has issued a no contact clause just like Alexa Bliss on Raw has. So there'll be no physicality next week, but the two men will be in the same ring as each other. Speaking of the Tribal Chief. Actually, no, I'm too early. We've got to go over the Clash at the Castle card first. Well, just the 2 new matches that have been added. We saw after Grizzled Young Veterans won that Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed, the Grizzled Young Veterans, will team up to face Johnny Gargano and Ciampa DIY for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships in Cardiff, Wales in 8 days' time. And also a fatal 4-way for the Women's Liberty Championship. Shotzi Blackheart, the champion, back against the wall, only a 25% chance of winning. She takes on Candice LeRae, Alba Fire, and Toni Storm. Then we get to the ring, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Jacob Fatu are in the ring. Jay sort of still, side-eyeing Jacob from across the ring. I imagine Jimmy's in the middle, and there's one either side of him, and Jay's just, glaring across at him. They're in their, usual Bloodline attire. They're not dressed up in suits, because I think that would be silly. And they go, ladies and gentlemen, we're gathered here today to celebrate the greatest WWE champion of all time. The greatest WWE superstar of all time. He's my cousin. He's Jay's cousin. He's Jacob's cousin. He's your tribal chief, your head of the table, Roman Reigns. Now, before we bring the tribal chief out here, we've got a couple of words to get through. It was last year at No Mercy. The tribal chief came in. He smashed Sami Zayn, who was the WWE champion at the time, and he left with the title around his waist. Since that day, Jacob, listen to this list of victims. Cesaro smashed him. Damian Priest smashed him. Buddy Murphy smashed him. Finn Balor smashed him. Ronnie Hughes smashed him. Johnny Gargano smashed him. Rey Mysterio smashed him. Keith Lee smashed him. Braun Breaker smashed him. Daniel Bryan, what'd he do, Jay? He smashed him, Oos. He smashed him. Cody Rhodes smashed him. The Rock smashed him. Seth Rollins, then all 3 together, smashed him. Now, I want you all to take a sit back and reflect upon this dominant year from the Tribal Chief. And then I imagine they gesture to the Titantron, and then they get one of those video package celebration highlight videos to some epic motivational song of Roman smashing everybody and shouting "acknowledge me" and all that shit. Then when that ends, they're clapping, they're applauding. They go, ladies and gentlemen, the man of the hour, your WWE champion, your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Out he comes, flanked by Paul Heyman, the wise man. And he goes, Jimmy, that was quite the speech you got there about, your tribal chief. I appreciate the acknowledgement. And Jimmy goes, you're welcome, my tribal chief. With pleasure. And he goes, now, I'm glad to see that my bloodline's on the same page here, We had a bit of a change-up last week when Jay came back and decided that he was going to try and cause problems in the bloodline. But that doesn't matter, because the bloodline could be as weak as it wants to be. It won't, because I'm in charge, and I'll make the rules. But if they want to be arguing back there, I don't need them. Seth Rollins seems to think that the only reason why, back at the Royal Rumble, I added the stipulation that he could never wrestle me again is because he didn't think I could do it without my bloodline. That's a lie, Seth. I could beat you any day of the week. You could have your family up there, and I'd smash all them too. Just me, not even my bloodline. Now, as Clash at the Castle in Cardiff draws closer, it's not going to be good, Seth. You know, you're one of the top guys here on my show. Your presence makes my show grow. But you're going to have to go. If you decide you're going to cause mayhem because you can't live with the fact that you couldn't dethrone the tribal chief, then that's what's got to be done, Seth. So enjoy next week. It'll be your last night on SmackDown. It'll be your second to last night in WWE. Because Cardiff, 8 days from tonight, that's your last day in WWE. Because I'm going to smash you again. I'm going to pin you. And you're going to sit there in Cardiff on your knees begging Roman Reigns, why? Why, Tribal Chief? Why did it have to be this way? And me, as your honorary Tribal Chief, your last moments in the ring will be me looking you dead in the eyes and saying, Seth, it didn't have to be this way. You could have just fallen in line. But you decided not to. And look where it got you. Then we hear, ha 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 ha. And Seth's on the Titantron. And he goes, ho ho, Roman, you give you such a tough guy act when I'm not around. Because last week, I got ejected out of the building before you even showed up. Because again, you were scared of Seth freaking Rollins stomping your freaking head on the mat like you have done so many times in the past. But Roman, your family's looking strong back there. You know, Jimmy, great speech, Jimmy. Awesome. Maybe Mike Collins will do it about me in a year's time when I reach 1 year as the WWE champion. Jay, you're keeping your cool back there, you got issues. You nearly caused problems with the bloodline last week, and I appreciate you keeping your cool. You try not to ruin Roman's celebration. Jacob, big Jacob Fatu, Oh, I did mean to ask you, Jacob, how did you want your payment from the attack last month? And Jay just stares at him. He's like, what's he on about, Oos? And Jacob goes, I don't know. Like, I'm innocent. I didn't fucking attack anybody. You're my family. And he goes, oh. There appears to be a bit of a weird situation developing in the bloodline, Tribal Chief. Because Seth freaking Rollins, he's always one step ahead of you. And that is why he got someone from your bloodline to attack the other members of your bloodline. Ha 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 ha. Now, Jacob Fatu, he's under my wing. He's my inside work, give me all the bloodline tips. And Jacob's telling me like, he's lying, my Tribal Chief. Like, no. But of course Jay's getting in his face going, what you doing? What's he saying, Oos? What's he saying? And he goes, well, ho, relax here. I'm just fooling around, Wanted to see how you'd react if I maybe said that Jacob Fatu was under my wing. It's all fun and games. But yet again, maybe not. Maybe I really did do it, Roman. Maybe there really is someone in your bloodline that's causing tension and getting inside your head. But that's just me spitballing, I couldn't possibly know. I can't possibly tell you. Because I have no idea. Because I couldn't get in your locker room. Because I'm not bloodline. And Jay just stares at Jacob Fatu. He's like, I knew it, Oos, I knew it. And he shoves him. And Jacob Fatu shoves Jay back and pushes him on his ass. And then Roman looks down at Jay and looks at Jacob Fatu with frustration. And he gets in Jacob Fatu. He goes, "What the fuck? What are you doing? You know, that's your cousin, Jay. What are you shoving him down for? He's buying this bullshit, Roman." Roman goes, "I don't care if he's buying this bullshit. You don't shove another member of your bloodline on the floor, you hear me?" And then Roman shoves Jacob Fatu, and the crowd's like, "Ooh." And Jacob, like, he wants to retaliate, but he can't hit his tribal chief. And he goes, "Oh." And then Jimmy gets in the way, and he goes, "Roman, what you doing? What you doing, Oos? You know, come on. This is your cousin. This is Big Jacob Fatu. You know, he's glue here." And then Jay gets in Jimmy's face, and he's like, "Shut up, Oos, he's the worm, you know, he's attacking, he's in Seth Rollins' pocket." And Roman sort of like, just has the bloodline arguing in the background. And he like just looks frustrated. And for once in his life, a little bit concerned about what's going on. And then Seth's not turning around, he goes, "Oops. And it seems I got in the big dog's head again." And then the Titantron video switches off, and we just see Roman, like the camera zooms in on him, like he's got his head in his hands, like rubbing his brow with frustration and concern, as Seth Rollins' laugh echoes around the arena to end the show. Yeah, that's a fine. Considering the main event was technically AJ Styles versus Trick Williams, I'll take an 83. The segments I wanted to do good, i.e. that main event segment, did good. It was the only blue thing on the show, but we move. They can't all be, you know, smash bangers. But what could be a smash banger is this week's episode of Velocity. We start off Velocity with a segment. There's Zachary Ben-Shahar, Lennox Duncan, and Gregor Ferguson come out, the Lady Killers, and he's like, "It's great to be back on Velocity. You know, we've been out on the lash, you know, with the lads, you know, a lot of babes around here, you know, but it's nice to be in the ring and wrestle and bring out our opponent, you know, coming up next." And that's Nathan Fraser, basically just, you know, a promo to get Zachary Ben-Shahar speaking, because, you know, he's good at that, and if he was given this ladies man or lady killer character, whatever it is, he'd definitely be more sleazy than I just was. But it's not a very detailed promo, it's just, you know, words for him to say so he can sort of like address the crowd and shit. And then him and Fraser have a decent match. They got great chemistry, which is nice, but I had to keep Zachary Ben-Shahar strong because Nathan Fraser beats him in 9 minutes by submission. So maybe when Nathan's more over, we can run this match back. But he gets a 60 and a 71 for Zachary Ben-Shahar. Nice little opening match to Velocity here. We then cool the crowd down with a bizarre match, Ika Manjiro against Sir Reginald. Jiro beats Reggie with a drop kick, picking up a win, you know. He lost the big mattress match, he's sort of just been floating on Velocity ever since, but here he is scoring a dub. 35 for Jiro, 45 for Reggie. 68 six-man tag team match. R.E. Sterling is here, and he's brought the Tate twins with him as his, you know, booty hunters for this week. And MSK, the trio of Wesley, Leslie Young, and Tristan Ellison, defeat them. Wesley pins Brandon Tate. 47 for Brandon, 39 for Brent, 74 for R.E. He's actually the best in the match. 65 for Tristan, 65 for Wes, and a 63 for Leslie. And MSK score a big win in this week's six-man tag team showcase. I thought that was the main event, but no, it's a segment. Ray and Oni having a chat, or like a hype video for their match, I guess. Like an AEW style hype video, or for like when they do, for the ones they do for matches on Rampage, like that sort of thing. And then it's announcing that next week Rey Mysterio and Oni Lorcan will battle for the Cruiserweight title on Velocity. Oh, main event is 82. That's still good. Grand Metalik, you know, the GOAT, picks up a win over Bobby Fish in 12:36. Fisherman carry. Just call it the Metalik driver, Connell. Come on. We're nearly done here. 88 for Metalik, 59 for Bobby Fish. I mean, where's the lie? 77 overall rated for Velocity. I think that's actually really good for Velocity standards. But, you know, that's a B show, doesn't really matter. What does matter is what you thought of it, and mainly SmackDown. So let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for Raw, which will be the go-home show for Clash at the Castle next Saturday. See you then.